In this lecture, we're going to tackle some basic concepts of safety practices regarding welding. No activity is satisfactorily completed if someone got injured. Safety in any workplace is the utmost priority. Thus, no work activity is satisfactorily completed if someone gets injured. Systems and training shall be in place in order for this to happen. As I have just mentioned, systems and programs are needed to ensure that safety programs are successful. Thus, leadership support starting from the top will help establish the culture of safety in the organization. This will trickle down to the workplace and its personnel. No program will be successful if the personnel is uninformed. Training is done to ensure that these programs are properly taught to personnel and the culture of safety is widely accepted in the company. There are several times that accidents stem from improper use of tools and equipment. The personnel must be trained properly to ensure they know how to use them properly and efficiently. Since the welders are exposed to different materials and equipment, they must know the instructions on safety practices of such work before it begins. This is where the MSDS or Material Safety Datasheets come in. MSDS provides OSHA permissible exposure limits, also known as the Threshold Limit Value or TLV. TLV is a registered trademark by ACGIH or American Conference of Governmental Industrial Hygienists. This is a known information in the MSDS that provides the permissible limits from OSHA. The MSDS shall be made available to every employee so that they are made aware of the hazards posed by these materials. As part of the training program, the management must ensure that the employees are properly trained in the recognition of these hazards. Elimination or implementation of proper controls are both the responsibility of the employer and the employee. Good housekeeping is essential in avoiding injuries. Since the welder's vision is often restricted by necessary eye and head protection, this limited vision makes the welder susceptible to tripping over objects on the floor. Welders, supervisors, and inspectors must always ensure that the area is free of tripping hazards. When working at heights, there is an added fall hazard. As we've just talked about regarding the eye protection hindering the view of the welder, rail lines will provide prevention against falls. Warning signs are important to identify areas that need eye protection, as normally, passers-by are not familiar with the location of these areas. Firewatch is tasked to ensure that sparks, spatter, and other flammable materials will not cause fire to nearby areas. For areas in which hot work are not normally done, this firewatch also constantly provides cooling by means of a constant water stream. Nearby areas in welding are most exposed to radiant energy and hot spatter. This is done by installing fire blankets, flame-resistant screens or shields, or PPE. If areas are needed to be isolated, proper ventilation must be ensured to prevent accumulation of fumes. Fires are normally started by sparks, so it is imperative that the work area is free of any combustible materials within 35 feet or 10 meters. Sparks can even go through any small openings in walls. The best protection against fire is to isolate or designate a welding area or provide enclosures of non-combustible material to protect sparks from starting a fire. Hot work permit system ensures that appropriate safety controls are implemented in the job area, and that personnel working on this shall have the necessary PPE, and that the personnel are made aware of the extraordinary hazards present in the area by the area supervisor. Hot work permit systems are normally implemented to oil and gas, power generation, and other industries, which normally has inherent risks with flammable materials and the flammable environment. Since welding is a hot work and will be a source of heat, the presence of vapors in these industries makes welding a very dangerous activity. Area supervisors must be alerted immediately in the event of fire. Thus, knowing the locations of these hot work during the shift is important to immediately deploy the firefighting resources in the event of fire. Hot work permit has a list of safety precautions in order to prevent or mitigate fire and reduce damage to personnel and property. It may employ elimination, substitution, or implementation of administrative or engineering controls by the personnel in charge of these hot works. In order for the welding inspector to implement these mitigating measures and the personnel be aware of these hazards, the welding inspector should take it upon himself to these safety practices at heart. Let me expound further the hazard of sparks and its ability to ignite nearby areas within the 35 feet radius. The spatter may travel in that radius and may ignite combustible canisters and materials around the area, causing fire. Since the welder is preoccupied and have limited vision, the flames may start before he even noticed it. Also, the heat radiating from the flames may not make any difference with the welder, as he is also wearing thick clothing making him warm. This also emphasizes the need for a fire watch, since they will be immediately warned of these hazards and be able to respond immediately. In contrast, this example has area where it's clear of any combustible materials. The scaffolding used also has safety rails to prevent fall injuries. This example also has a fire watch to immediately put out any stray spatter that may ignite combustible materials. The fire watch may also help ensure good housekeeping around the welder to prevent him from tripping due to objects scattered around.